Good morning and how are you? It's great to be back with you for another great recipe. Today I want to do an experimental recipe, one using almond milk. I don't know, can you call this almond milk? It's extract of almond in a liquid form. I'm sure those vegans like call it milk because they want to replicate what you get from udders and breasts, but it's not, it's just nut, almond nut extract. So, my main concern with this recipe is that there's three fundamental flaws. The first is it has a very high fat content, and that is going to play havoc with the fermentation process and the style of the wine. The second issue comes after the high fat content, and that is the high oil content. That again might cause some type of separation or issue with the fermentation. Third issue is the taste. I've never tried it, but I think it's going to be wishy-washy, weak, flabby, with no real substance. But I'm not after creating the perfect recipe. I want to see if this almond milk substitute drink vegan crap actually does ferment and could be a base for a wine. As you know, I like fermenting all sorts of weird, wonderful things. Bland, a big hit. That's been replicated by YouTubers all over YouTube really now, trying to make it and improve it, which is fantastic. I think I was the first person to bring fermented milk. Mushroom wine, again, brilliant. Seaweed wine. All these drinks are awesome. But will this work? I won't know until I try it. So come on, let's get into the recipe. The first thing we want to do with this experimental recipe is dissolve 1 kilogram of sugar in boiling water. Create a lovely dissolved, sticky, sweet, syrupy solution. Fantastic. So, sugar into a saucepan. And pour over enough boiling water to dissolve it fully. And give the sugar a good stir around so it all becomes friends with that boiling water. Fantastic. It shouldn't take long to dissolve, and whilst it does, open up your almond milk. I hate calling this stuff milk. It's not. It has not come from nipples. It has come from nuts. I know they may look very similar at times, but it's come from nuts, not nipples. It is not milk. It's almond drink liquid stuff, not milk. Anyway, so you want to open up your almond drink cartons and pour them into your clean, sterilised, sanitised demijohn. Grab yourself a funnel into your clean, sterilised, sanitised demijohn and pour the nut liquid into your demijohn. I'm using 2 litres of the almond nut liquid juice. I think 2 litres plus a litre of boiling water and the sugar should fill up your demijohn to the neck, and then that will provide plenty of aerobic fermentation and enough room if it decides to bubble over. This is only an experimental recipe, so I'm not 100% sure yet of how it's going to turn out. It's purely to see what happens. Will it work? Won't it work? I have no idea. That is one of the great things about homebrew. You can experiment, you can create what you want, how you want it, you deviate from recipes, and all is awesome. Like that. And now you want to pour in your boiling sugar solution into the demijohn on top of that almond nut milk. I just pour it straight in. I have to say, the aroma from that almond nut drink is very bland. There's no decent aroma coming off it. If I was to repeat this recipe and try and make it for the flavour over the experience and to find out if it works or not, I would add a lot more seasoning. I would add a lot more flavour to it. Orange, citric acid, lemon juice, some cloves, licorice. I would create a better flavour base for it, a better palate. But this isn't about the flavour. This is about seeing if it works or doesn't. I'm going to be adding some mead yeast, simply because it's what I have most of at the moment. But you can add whatever yeast you like. You can add your general purpose yeast, you can add your, well, take your pick. Whatever yeast you want to add it at this point now. That should be just the right temperature. The 2 litres of the nut milk and the 1 litre boiling water should create the perfect temperature for the yeast to start working. So sprinkle in your sachet or your teaspoonful of your yeast. And now simply apply your airlock to your demijohn and then simply top up your airlock with whatever liquid you want to put into it. And I'm going to let this stand for a few days and come back with you and check on the progress. Will this almond nut drink milk be successful? Will it work? I don't know. People have been asking, would it work? I've had numerous emails and comments saying, can you try? So that's what I'm doing. I love experimenting. So I'm going to set this aside now and I'll see you in a few days' time to see how this looks. I'll be right back now. Have fun. Good morning, and how are you? A day has passed, 24 hours, and the almond milk liquid drink is fermenting away nicely. There's a good layer of bubbles on top of the surface. It's looking brilliant. It's doing its job. It's fermenting, which is awesome. There's a tiny bit of separation of the particles. Some of the fat has come to the surface, it's separating, but that should not be an issue. That should siphon out and that shouldn't be detrimental to the wine. So I'll leave this here for the time being and I'll top it up tomorrow with you. I'll see you then. Bye bye. Good morning, and how are you? It's day 2 of my almond milk liquid wine concoction, and I have to say that there is a huge amount of sediment sinking to the bottom and also the floaty gunk pulp floating to the surface. That is because of the high oil and fat content within the almond drink. Perfectly normal, it happens with a lot of wines, but maybe not to this extent. So I'm not giving up hope, it's within what I was expecting. The main focus now is to let that carry on working, and then we can extract the liquid in between the floater stuff and the sinker stuff, the flotsam and the jetsam. So the plan now is just to leave it and top it up with more water as and when that sediment at the bottom condenses and the stuff at the top floating reduces down. The important question is, how does it smell? So let's have a quick sniff test. Perfectly good. It's not smelling funky. It's not smelling as if it's turning rancid or going off. It's brilliant. There's a yeasty aroma coming from it, which is good. It shows the yeast is working happily and isn't too stressed. I'm happy with it. So I'll check back on it in a few days' time. See you soon.